Okay, so I am going to talk about how I got a company APV of 618.34 in the year 2014. So I'm just going to start with the revenue right here. In 2009 was is was 245.75 when it's currently 369.43, and so as you can see that is a great increase, so that's always a good thing. And then the operating income started with 22.6, and currently in the year 2014, 5 years later, it's 41.19. So the operating income has increased by almost double, which is very good. And then the total net income that we have started with was 13.56, and we've increased that all the way to 24.72. And all of our actual numbers in the blue are all greater than what we forecasted them to be. So it's good that we are actually doing better than we thought that we would be doing. Um, and then all of these numbers over here in cash flow are just increasing the entire time. In 2014 is where we're currently at, and it's just expected to go up and up the entire time. Over here with the revenue, we're getting most of our revenue through retail, which is very good, and just a little through licensing, and about almost half of it through production. The operating profit, we're getting almost all of our profit through licensing over here. And then our assets are mostly through production. And now we're going to go over to the project details to find out why I chose all of the projects that I did in order to get the APV of 618. If I could click on it. Okay, so just starting with the toddler doll accessory line, the risk for this was pretty low, but the reason I chose this was the NPV was pretty good, 6.82. The IRR is very good. I was getting 24% there. And then the payback period was 8.7, which isn't wonderful, but I mean, compared to the other things, as long as I had all the other numbers being good, um, I still decided to go with it because the profitability index was 3.19. So these are all good positive numbers. Um, and then over with a different project, let's just go to Match My Doll. I chose this. This one's even better, even though it had a medium risk. The NPV was 9.68, which is even better than the last one, with an IRR of 27% and a PI of 3.21. And the payback period was a little bit lower with the Match My Doll clothing line at only 7.69 years, which is still kind of a lot, but I mean, eventually we're getting our money back, so it's not that big of a deal. Um, and then Virtual Doll Community. This one has a smaller NPV. The NPV is only 5.83, but the IRR was 402%. So I was getting over 400% back of what the initial rate of return was. Payback period is only 2 years. That's not very long at all, with a very, very, very high profitability index of 258.93. But it was very high risk, but it ended up doing pretty well. The cash flow started at 0.38 but ended up at 2.73. And as you go throughout it, it always net income is positive the entire time. As long as it's above zero here, we're good, and it was. Everything else, we don't really go negative too much, and total ending cash balance is positive the whole time, even though it's not a lot. It was still making us money. And Doll Video Game was kind of similar. It did not have a very big NPV, only 1.03, but it had a 115% initial rate of return and a very low payback period and a very high profitability index. And if we go down here, all of our income is positive. We weren't really losing any money on it, even though we didn't make much here. In these future years, we're going to kind of quit making money off of it, but at least at first we were making some and we were above what we put into it. And that's pretty much what I did for all of the projects. These are all of the projects that I invested in up here, and with all of them, I was just looking at the NPV, IRR, payback period, and profitability index. Now looking at the income statement and balance sheet. With the income statement, we really just want to look at the net income right here. And it's way above zero, which is good. We weren't losing any money there. And it just continually grows and grows as the years go on. We're going to be making over double what we were making in this year within the next 10 years. The total net assets are also very high, very above zero. And then the liabilities, we just really wanted to be greater or less than the net income so that we don't go below here. And the liabilities here are 71. Well, they don't want to be above the net assets, I mean. 71 here versus 298, which is very good. 76 versus 303. Ideally, our liabilities would go down in the future, but naturally, with most companies, they're going to go up. But as long as our net assets are continually going up, it's not a bad thing at all. And then that's just all with the balance sheet. With the income statement, we're only looking at the income, which is going up and up. So that's good. And assets equals liabilities plus owner's equity. So this is the total of them, and this is the assets, and they are all equal the entire time. Then on to the cash flow statement. We just want to make sure that we're having a positive amount of cash flow. We never really want it to go negative in the end. So the total cash flow with just net income plus depreciation is positive the entire time, and it's going up and up, which is good because if it was just steady, if it was 44 the entire time, we would actually be losing a little bit of money because of inflation. Cash flow from operations, which is what we want to be the highest out of the three cash flows because this is the money that we're getting from our business and from all of our operations, are very high. And we really need the operations to be higher than the rest of them, which is the case. Investments, we're negative all the way across the board, and same with cash flow from financing. But as long as the three of these added together are above zero, we're still bringing more cash in than we are out, which is the ideal result. So total cash flow right here is always above zero. Even though it's not much, we're still making some, we're still bringing more in than we're taking out. And then plus the cash that we began with up here is now all positive. So that's a very good thing, and it's suspected to be good all the way into the future. With this financial analysis, we're just looking at debt-free cash, which is good. It's good the entire time, and everything's good. So back to the beginning, I ended up with a company APV of 618 with a goal of at least 600. So all in all, this was a successful project.